Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
co-chairs, ranking member, members of the committee, and especially Senator McCune, our sponsor, and the co-sponsors. I thank you for hearing this bill today. For the record, my name is Alex Hansen. I'm a teacher at Eatonville School District, specifically at the middle school now. And we are here to testify in favor of Senate Bill 6205. If you would pardon me, Chair, would you allow me to introduce all of my students? There's 10 of them here.
Oh, why don't you do that? Thank you.
Okay.
We'll stop the clock for a minute, allowing you to do that.
Okay, thank you. So, Troy Brinkman, in alphabetical order.
Raise your hand when I...
Oh, I'm sorry, Foster Brinkman. I get Troy here. Foster. And Lila Clark. She'll be testifying. TJ Gibson. Terrence McKimmey. Blake Poole. Eli Watley, he'll be testifying. Kai Williams. Sean Wood. And finally, Mari Snezak. And she's taking pictures for us.
Is she your official photographer?
Yes, she's the only person that's not specifically from this class. She's in the leadership class, and she has a role to play in this, and she wanted to come today. She wanted to come.
Excellent.
So this bill was generated when I got back from France on Sunday night and Monday morning. The next Monday, reported for our welcome back meeting with the district, and my principal came up to me and said, Alex, sorry I couldn't tell you before, but you're going to be teaching a different class this year, and that's going to be global perspectives, and it's the high cap group. The school board decided that they wanted to take it out of a pull-out once every 2 weeks on a Wednesday only and put it in the school day with an actual curriculum. And then further, he said to me, oh, by the way, we don't have the curriculum yet. So for the first several weeks, months, whatever, you're going to have to figure something out. This is how principals get people like me with gray hair to consider retirement. But actually, no, I was delighted to be able to take this on. It's right down my alley, teaching kids. I have 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders in this group. And I thought, okay, first day, what do I do? What do I do? And I have always been concerned about what I see in the classrooms when we say this ritual called the Pledge of Allegiance. And it even is more disturbing when we watch the behavior in assemblies. And it's required to be recited there as well. And I thought, do my kids even know what this means? And so I had them rise and say the pledge. I had them sit down, said, take out a sheet of paper and write the pledge down. And they struggled. It's been rote. They didn't know how to spell allegiance. And then I had them underline the words that they didn't think they knew. They underlined maybe 1 or 2. And I said, okay, so you're going to go down to the 3rd grade and you're going to teach the 3rd graders what these words mean. Are you ready to do that? And they thought, nah. Now, that wasn't really what they did, but I started to teach them the meaning, and there were at least 9 words that they really couldn't really get to the heart of, and one of them being allegiance. What's a republic? Are we saying invisible, indivisible? What are we actually saying, and why? So we learned the meaning, and then we went into the history, and then we looked at the law, and we had a good discussion about how is that law? Is it written well? And they didn't think so. They didn't think so. And they started to talk about problems that they saw in the law. One of them being that why does it require us to say this thing when we don't know what it means? And so that became the next project, which was to teach the meaning to their peers. And so they came up with a presentation, which I'll make sure you get a copy of electronically so you can see what they came up with. It's amazing. And then from there, they decided the law needed to be changed. That's their presentation.
Okay.
It's amazing. I hope you read through it because that's that's what they learned. And they did this on their own. They did the research and I gave them, broke it up into 9 parts and said, you got that, you've got to do the research, and they taught it. I see my time is up, and I want to let them speak.
Yes,
anyway.
we want to hear from
All
them.
right, all right. Blake. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chairs, Ranking Member, and members of the committee. I'd also like to thank Jim McCoon for sponsoring this bill. I'm an 8th grader at Eatonville Middle School. I would like to testify in favor of Senate Bill 6205. I'd like to begin with a question. What is the purpose of reciting? What is the purpose for a state law that requires all public schools to have a daily flag ritual, which includes reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? Whatever your answer is, do you think the purpose is being achieved simply by requiring the pledge to be recited? We don't think it is. And that is the problem we are here today to bring to your attention. We have a suggestion of how you might join us by fixing that problem. We had a pep assembly a while ago. Before the assembly started, we recited the Pledge of Allegiance. Most kids sat up slowly, still talking to their friends. Annoyingly, our class president made us sit down and stand back up multiple times because people were still talking and being disrespectful. Finally, when everyone was quiet, we started reciting the pledge. While saying this ritual with blank faces and monotone voices, people kept messing around, paying little attention to the foreign words they recited. I could talk about this all day, but I think you get the point. Students disrespect the pledge, not only at assemblies, but every morning when we say it at the beginning of each day. Does this bother you? Well, it bothers me, but it's not entirely their fault because they were never taught the meaning and history of the pledge. And I think that is what is leading to the disrespect. The law as is currently written is incomplete. Why do we have to recite the Pledge of Allegiance if we don't know what it means? What I'm getting to is students disrespect the pledge because they do not know what they're pledging for. They do not know the meaning and history of the Pledge of Allegiance if they are required to say it at school.
And you need to wrap up your testimony,
If they're
if you will.
Yeah. If they're required to say it at school, school should teach us what they're pledging, right? Otherwise, why say it? The whole purpose for reciting is a missed opportunity. If you agree with our idea to enhance respect and appreciation for the Pledge of Allegiance, please vote yes for Senate Bill 6205. Thanks for consideration.
Thank you.
So also know that if you're able, you can leave your testimony so that we make sure, even if you're not able to share it all with us, that we'll have a chance to read it, okay?
Okay.
All right, next up is Troy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Ranking Member, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Troy Smith. I am a 7th grader at Eatonville Middle School. I am here to testify in favor of Senate Bill 6205. I would like to thank my Senator McCoon for sponsoring this bill. There is a problem we face every day in schools, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance without the appreciation it deserves. Every American should value the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Those are core documents to the founding of America, and the law requires they be taught to public schools. They state our country's biggest hopes and ideals, but do we make students say them every day? No. However, we do require the pledge to be recited. Why? Because the Pledge of Allegiance is the heart and soul of those documents, of what our founding fathers established, and of our country's most important principles. So why then, when students say it, do they say it disrespectfully in a monotone voice, barely sparing it a thought? It's simple. It means nothing to them. Without knowing the meaning, students will never understand why the pledge is so important. But this can change. By passing Senate Bill 6205, you give students the knowledge and the power to say the pledge respectfully because they can embrace its meaning and purpose. You let students know why they should say the pledge and why it is not a waste of time. You have the power to help every student in Washington build patriotism and become better citizens. If you are going to require the pledge to be recited, shouldn't you also require that schools where we say it teach us what it means? Our schools are educational institutions. Let's educate young people about their first duties as citizens, loyalty and devotion to our country, appreciation for our veterans who sacrificed for our freedoms, and commitment to all it represents. Thank you for your time, and please pass Senate Bill 6205.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. So the next two we're going to call up. So next up is Elijah Watley and Lila Clark. So if you all want to move back and let the next two students come up and share their testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Elijah, we'll start with you.
Might not be able to read the whole thing, so good as you can.
Mr. Hanson, you could sit there if you want to, if it would make them feel more comfortable.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chairs, Ranking Member, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Elijah Watley. I'm a 7th grader at Eatonville Middle School. I want to thank Senator McCune for listening to us and sponsoring our bill. I'm here to testify in favor of Senate Bill 6205. Albert Einstein once said, "Insanity is trying something over and over again, expecting a different result." Without teaching the meaning of our daily ritual known as the Pledge of Allegiance, it is insane to expect kids to automatically understand it. And how can you expect students to respect and embrace something they don't understand? You see, most children do not respect the pledge. They often horse around or make up different words for the pledge while reciting it. For example, the other day my friend kept repeating the word ravioli instead of the actual pledge words. I was annoyed. We have concluded that the reason for this behavior is because barely any children even understand the meaning of the Pledge of Allegiance. I can speak for myself because of the lesson Mr. Hanson taught us. I understand and think about those words as I had never done before. I now have more appreciation for the pledge, and I'm bothered when I see my peers showing disregard. To dig deeply into this meaning, Mr. Hanson had us break up the pledge into 9 segments. Each of us had to research the meaning and importance of particular words or phrases. Then, we had to organize our learning into a presentation to teach what we had learned to our entire school. My phrase was, "I pledge allegiance." Promising our devotion and loyalty to our flag and country, and showing the principles it stands for, is the heart of the pledge. And now I say it with a lot more heart than I used to. Isn't that what the purpose of saying it is all about? The current wording of the law requiring only the reciting of the pledge seems to assume that understanding, appreciation, and respect will come automatically.
Thank you.
Please look at our presentation. Do you honestly think us kids are realizing all of what we say?
Eli,
Thank you very much.
say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Yeah. Make sure you turn it in if you have more to
Yes.
say.
Okay.
Yeah. Layla.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Ranking Member, and members of the committee, and Mr. McCune for sponsoring our bill. For the record, my name is Lila Clark, and I'm a 6th grader at Eatonville Middle School. I'm here to testify in favor of Senate Bill 6205. I've been reciting the Pledge of Allegiance ever since kindergarten, and not once in my 7 years of doing so has anyone ever taught me anything about the pledge at all. That was until the first day of class with my 6th period teacher, Mr. Hanson. He had the intriguing idea to have my class and I write down the pledge word for word on a piece of paper. After a bit of struggling, we did manage to do so. He then asked us to define 9 of the words we had written down, and it wasn't until that moment that I actually realized one important thing. I had no actual idea what the Pledge of Allegiance meant at all. We have a law that states public schools must have appropriate flag exercises held in each classroom at the beginning of the school day at the opening of all school assemblies. My first thought when I saw this law was, why do we have a law that requires us to say something that most people don't comprehend? If students are required to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, they should have a proper education in regards to its meaning. That seems logical enough, right? I know there will be objections with this law, but my classmates and I are already fully prepared to answer them. One of the concerns we got asked was something along the lines of if there was enough room in the curriculum for these lessons. The Pledge of Allegiance is an important part of what it means to be an American. My fellow classmates and I believe that requiring the education to be taught behind it is just as important as being required to recite it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate that. A remote panel? No, not.
And
yes, we do.
Susanna Jones has signed up but is not available on Zoom, so Julie Barrett is our last testifier in this bill.
And I know Julie is going to be very happy to be testifying pro on this bill. Are you there, Julie?
Yes, ma'am, I am here and I am happy to be testifying pro on this bill. This was such a treat to see all of these students. This was really the coolest thing I've seen since I've been testifying before you. So well done to all of the students. That's a tough act to follow, and I'll keep my comments brief because it's going to be hard to match that. For the record, I'm Julie Barrett, representing Conservative Ladies of Washington. Our organization and its members believe that the Pledge of Allegiance is more than just a ritual or a formality. It is a statement of our values, our identity, and our commitment to our country. It is a way of honoring the sacrifices of those who fought for our freedom. It's a reminder of the principles that unite us as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. These students have done such an amazing job of articulating the need for this bill and how important it is for our students. So I will just conclude in echoing all of their sentiments and asking this committee to pass Senate Bill 6205. Thank you.
Thank you.